Today we're going to be working on Unit 7 LT5 notes, permutations versus combinations. On Wednesday this week we learned about permutations. Permutations are an arrangement or listing of objects in which order is important. So put that down in your notes under permutation, that order is important. And you have the formula, your n is your total and it's factorial, divided by your total, or your n again, minus your r, what you're picking, and then factorial. But on Thursday this week, you learned that you can use that probability button and just choose that NPR button when you're looking for permutation. This N is going to be your total, and this R is what you're picking. Okay, some keywords, and write these keywords down in your notes. You're looking for arrangement, rank, order, lineup, placing, like first, second, third, and also your jobs or your roles, what you're doing. Combinations, on the other hand, is a group or listing of things in which order does not matter. Okay, and you see your formula there about your total factorial divided by your total minus what you're choosing factorial, and then again you're choosing factorial. But on Thursday we learned that instead of doing all that math, there's a fancy button on your calculator under probability, and for combinations you're going to have the N, the C, and the R. This N is your total, and this R is what you're choosing, how many you want. Okay, some keywords would be groups, teams, cards. Those all would be keywords for combinations. So let's look at this one. A subway car has 8 empty seats. At one stop, 5 people enter the car and no one gets off. How many ways can 5 people sit in the 8 empty seats? Okay, so when we think about that, you have 5 people getting on a bus, but they can sit in any of the 8 seats. So it does not really matter where they sit. So this one would be a combination. As long as they get on that bus, they're going to get a seat. So if I'm going to write this out as a formula, I have 8 total empty seats, and I'm going to choose 5 of them. So if I use that in my calculator, I would put 8 in my calculator first, find my probability button, scroll over to the NCR, and then you're choosing 5, so put your 5 in next, and then hit enter, and I would say 56 ways. Okay, let's look at this next one. A history test lists the names of 5 presidents, and each student is to choose 2 of them to compare in an essay. How many different pairings are there? Okay, so we have to think about this one. Is order really that important in this one? If you're going to do 2, does it matter if you pick one president first over the other one, or are you still going to be comparing those 2 presidents? Well, you still will be comparing those 2 presidents, so order does not matter which one you pick first out of the presidents, because you're still comparing both of them. So this one is another combination one, and this one, if we have 5 total, and then we're going to choose 2, because pair, when I'm thinking of a pair means 2. I'm choosing 2 of those. So then in my calculator, I'm going to do 5, my probability button, scroll over to my combination button, and then I'm choosing 2, and I get 10 ways. Well, this one, let's say pairings instead of ways, because it's saying how many different pairings are there. We can say there's 10 pairings. A survey asked people to rank their favorite 3 sports out of basketball, baseball, tennis, soccer, and football according to how much they enjoy watching the sport. Okay, so if you're comparing how much you enjoy watching the sport, you might like to watch baseball over basketball, or you might enjoy watching football more than you like watching soccer. So if this one, order does matter. So because order does matter, I want my favorite one first. It's going to be a permutation. Okay, so now we have to decide what our numbers are going to be. So we have basketball, baseball, tennis, soccer, and football. Those are my sports that I have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sports. So my total are those 5 sports. And I want to rank them according to how much I want to rank my 3 favorite ones. Okay, so that's going to be a permutation because I'm ranking them and I'm choosing my 3 favorites. So I'm just going to go to my calculator. I'm going to do that 5, hit my NPR button, and then choose 3. And I get 60 ways. Number 4 says there are 20 students in speech club. 3 of these students will be chosen to represent the school at a regional competition. How many different groups of 3 students can be chosen? So here's our keyword kind of groups right here. So if I choose 3 students to be in a group, it doesn't really matter if I choose one person first and then another person and another person. There's still a whole group. They're a group of 3. It doesn't matter who gets chosen first and who gets chosen last. So this one is going to be a combination because order does not matter. There's 20 total. Remember, our biggest number is always on our left. And then we're choosing 3. So I'm going to use my calculator and I'm going to put in my 20, hit my probability button. I'm doing a combination and I'm choosing 3. Ooh, this is a big one. I get 1,140 ways. Number 5 says there are 12 teams competing in a dance competition. How many ways can the teams be awarded first, second, and third? Well, I would much rather have first place than third place. Although any place would be fantastic, I would prefer first place. So this one, order does matter. So this one's going to be a permutation. I have 12 total teams, and I'm picking my 3. So 12, pick 3. So I'm going to put 12, probability button, picking 3, and I get 1,320 ways. Number 6 says you are on spring break at Niagara Falls and want a picture with your friends. There are 9 of you, but only 5 can fit in a photo. How many ways can you and your friends line up for a photo? So when we have this line up is a key word for permutation. So because of that word, line up, we're going to do a permutation. So I have 9 total people. And because it's a permutation, I'm going to choose that P. But only 5 of us can fit in the photo. So I'm going to start with 9 and hit my probability button, NPR, and choose 5. Ooh, I get 15,120 ways. Okay, so this concludes your notes. Your homework today is to choose to go through and read your word problems and decide, is order important? And if so, it will be a permutation. If order is not important, it's going to be a combination. So first you're going to choose which one it is and then go ahead and do the math. When you do it, I need to have this and your answer. So don't just give me your answer, but make sure that you're showing me how that would be set up and how you'd use that in your calculator. So that 9, pick 5, or 9, choose 5, depending on if it's a permutation or a combination. You need to show both things and not just the answer.